Hey guys, it's Sarah. I know in my last video I promised to do some more curated content and regular video postings, but after making that video, a little bit of chaos entered into our lives and kind of consumed us. So I wanted to take some time to introduce you to it. This is Indigo. She is an 11-month-old wolfdog, and she is currently our foster. From what we've been able to find out about Indigo, we think that she is about 40% wolf and is an F3, which means that she's 3 generations removed from pure wolf. I wanted to tell you a little bit of her story. Indigo came into our lives the day after Mother's Day when I was contacted by a follower on Instagram. They had been fostering Indigo up until about a week prior, at which point she had been adopted. The adopter had gotten in touch with them and said that Indigo had been hit by a car not long after going home with her. Rescue takes a lot of steps. You want to make sure that you have a reputable organization behind you in order to pay the medical bills, to make sure that you have a good home in place for the animal, and to keep everything legal and protected for both the people and the animals. So my first step was to find a rescue that would be willing to take on Indigo. I called my really good friend Maureen Delaney, who's the founder of Delaney Dog Rescue, and asked if she would be willing to take on a dog that we knew would have some significant medical bills. I said that I would help with placement because wolf dogs can be difficult to place. They require experienced owners and someone to make sure that those owners are ready to take on the responsibilities of owning one of these animals and have it in a safe environment. She agreed so long as I did the placement, and we went to go pick up Indigo. We raced to go pick up Indigo to the general area where we knew where the adopter lived. But suddenly, when it was time to get an exact address, she went out of touch. We weren't able to reach her, and we spent the whole day trying to track her down. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we had to accept that we weren't going to get Indigo. We went home brokenhearted, knowing that this animal was in pain, was suffering, and was likely going to be euthanized. The next morning, while I was at work, I got a message with an address and a message to come pick up Indigo as soon as possible. I wasn't able to leave, but her former foster family left their Mother's Day brunch just to race and go save her. When they got there, they were horrified to see that Indigo had visibly lost weight. She had a dirty, dirty bandage on. Hi. Oh. And her leg was really visibly deformed. After getting all the paperwork signed, the adopter asked if the foster family would be willing to take another dog that she had adopted the same week as Indigo. We had seen what had happened to dogs in her care, so I called Maureen and asked if she would be willing to take on just one more animal. Her concern was that this dog wouldn't have a good foster family. So the foster family that was going to take Indigo back agreed to foster the new dog, Riley, and we figured we would get it worked out for Indigo by the time she got out of the vet. Such a goof. We got all the paperwork for Riley, and the foster family rushed both Riley and Indigo to Mid-Valley Veterinary Hospital. I was able to meet them there, and I was also so taken aback by what I saw. I'd only seen Indigo in photos up to that point, and everything I saw had shown her as a really happy, sweet, healthy puppy. That wasn't what was in front of me, and it was heartbreaking. Our first step was to take x-rays. In the x-rays, the leg that we were most concerned about was the right leg. It had a fractured and dislocated growth plate that would require surgery. By comparison, her left leg didn't look too bad in the x-rays. She had 3 fractured metacarpals, but it wouldn't require surgical intervention. However, we didn't know what was waiting for us underneath the bandage. Her left leg didn't look too bad, but we knew that it was going to be a problem. It smelled really terribly and was filthy. In fact, the reason the adopter said that she finally decided to give Indigo up was because she smelled so bad. We took off the bandage, and it was a lot worse than we expected. I do have to warn you that the following images are graphic. There were maggots eating the necrotic skin, and her foot was completely degloved. The next few days were spent pumping her full of antibiotics and IV fluids, trying to get her healthy enough to beat this infection that very possibly could take her foot, if not her life. Luckily, she was young and healthy enough beforehand to make a recovery, and a few days after she came into the vet, we got her into surgery. They implanted a metal plate to keep the dislocated leg in place, and we opted not to do any surgery on the right leg because it had already been so traumatized. In the days leading up to surgery, I had visited Indigo every day. Her foster family had also visited, and they said that she was a different dog than when she had left. Before Indigo had been hit by the car, she had been a rambunctious, excited, happy, healthy puppy. But afterwards, she was so scared at the vet's office that all she could do was try to find a place to hide and whimper occasionally. I saw little flashes of what she would become, and I often thought that she was gonna poop, to be honest, because her tail would rise up in a certain way that I thought was either due to pain or having to go to the bathroom. We now call that her trouble tail. It means she just wants to destroy things. So that's how I know she was still the same dog, just a little more scared. That first day after surgery was the first time that I visited Indigo and saw the puppy that I had been told about. When she saw me, she wagged her tail so hard, and she was wearing 2 little casts, but she hobbled over to me looking like a really sad pirate and immediately came over for belly rubs. She spent the next hour trying to drag me on her 2 little broken legs around the veterinary office and ended up jumping up, knocking down their jar of treats and eating them all. A pretty signature Indigo move. It was at that point that I knew that at least her life was safe. We still didn't know if her leg would be usable, if she would walk again normally, or if she'd ever be able to run, but we knew she'd be alive, and at that point that was great. During the time that Indigo was at the veterinary hospital, I worked frantically to try to find another foster for her. Matt and I have 2 pit bulls, and we're very happy with our little family. We weren't looking to add any more wolf dogs to our lives until we were ready to start our sanctuary, until we had the land to do so. But I also knew that Indigo would require a very special foster, someone who knew what a wolf dog could be, someone who was equipped to deal with the difficulties of a wolf dog, and someone who was patient enough to help rehabilitate a traumatized animal. Not only had Indigo been hit by a car, she had also been rehomed 5 times in the first 6 months of her life. Wolves are pack animals. They form very strong connections to their humans. When you break those initial bonds again and again, it is a very, very insecure, fearful animal that you leave. So we knew that it was going to be a lot of work, and we tried and tried to find someone up to the job and that was able to do it, but unfortunately we didn't. And so we decided we would foster Indigo ourselves. We brought her home after 3 weeks of being in the vet, and the instructions to us were to try to keep her exercise to 5 minutes, no more than 5 times a day. We had a big crate for her and a ton of enrichment, and it was great for about 2 days. And then the destruction began. She is a high energy animal, and the casts really didn't slow her down. She got really good at just walking with the cone and just banging it against things, not really letting it bother her, and was hobbling around just fine. We had to keep her in the crate even though she hated it, and soon enough she had weaseled her way onto the bed, curled up around my head like an enormous black cat. Indigo fought a MRSA infection and soon was able to get her second cast off. She has been recovering steadily ever since. We walk her for miles and miles each day, and still when we get home, she's so energetic that we have to play fetch with her in the backyard for another hour. She loves to play with our 2 pit bulls and loves other dogs. She does sometimes play a little too rough for our 2 pit bulls, so we oftentimes like to take her on little play dates with other wolf dogs who have a little bit more fur and are a little bit more used to her level of play. She loves going on hikes, going to the beach, and eating. Eating is probably her favorite. She's also really good at destroying anything that I've ever cared about, which is a skill. She adores belly rubs and doesn't have much modesty. Yeah. We love Indigo. She has filled a hole in our heart that I don't think we really realized was there. We also hope that maybe we filled a little bit of a hole in our heart for hers. When we left New Hampshire, we left animals that we had devoted our lives to. Very specific type of animals with specific needs and specific personalities. And while we love our 2 pit bulls, it just wasn't the same. Having Indigo has reminded us of our passion, of why we're working so hard to get a sanctuary started, and of why we love wolf dogs. Indigo is still technically our foster, and we'll reevaluate what we think is the best option for her after puberty, but we will be fostering her through puberty. There's a theory that dogs have a wolf's brain stuck in prepubescence, and wolf dogs really kind of drive that home. Up until puberty, wolf dogs are just really intense dogs that tend to have some behavioral issues, but after puberty you will see a distinct shift. They have their own opinions about things, they do what they want to do, and they're not as interested in pleasing you as an owner. In fact, we see a lot of animals come into rescue around that 2-year mark. So we don't know how Indigo is going to manifest the trauma that she's experienced after puberty, and we don't feel it would be responsible to put her into a home until we know exactly what her behavior is going to look like. If after puberty we decide that she would be best suited in another home, we will happily rehome her. But until then, she has a home with us. We are very prepared to give her a forever home. Whatever the outcome may be, our main goal is to give her the very happiest life after she's been failed again and again by people. I wanted to take a second to thank the people who have been involved in Indigo's rescue. She wouldn't be alive without them. First and foremost is Maureen Delaney and Delaney's Dog Rescue. They covered all of Indigo's medical bills and continue to rescue animals on a daily basis. Also, if you feel so inclined, I'm going to make sure to put a donation link in the description so that you can help Maureen continue to save more animals like Indigo and other animals with special medical needs. I also want to thank Indigo's foster family. Without them, I never would have known that Indigo needed help. I never would have been able to act on Indigo, and Riley wouldn't have a home. I wanted to thank everyone who has helped support Indigo, both on Instagram and Facebook, and all of my friends who have helped to socialize her and learn that people can be trusted. We're continuing to work on finding the right spot for our sanctuary. Land searches have been difficult. We've checked out a couple places in New Mexico and Oregon, and our next place to look is North Carolina. We would love to stay in Southern California, so if anyone has some open land, hit a girl up. Until then, we're going to continue to talk about wolves and wolf dogs, about Indigo, and about rescue. We'll be making a lot of videos with Indigo in the near future, I can guarantee it. She's definitely a character. We've often joked that if we had a parrot, the first word it would learn is Indigo, because that is literally the word we say about 1,000 times a day. We're also going to do some comparison videos of Indigo with higher content wolf dogs, so we can kind of outline some of the different physical traits. And we're going to touch on some of the difficulties of having a wolf dog, especially a wolf dog puppy, in the house. I really hope you guys stick around. I hope that Indigo makes up for the lack of content for the last couple of months. Make sure to comment below what type of videos you'd like to see with Indigo, if you have any questions about her that we could address, or anything you'd like to know. If you'd like to donate to Delaney's Dog Rescue, I'll be sure to put a link in the description. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll be coming out with some new videos soon. Thanks for watching! Suddenly, our goal changed from saving Indigo's leg and helping her to walk to saving her life. Did we have to? I don't know, Indigo, I'm talking about saving your life here.